Dear Brother Richard Maria, please tell us where are we and what just happened today in this church?
Yes, thank you. So we're here in Utrecht, a city in the middle of the Netherlands, in a church that is called the Gerardus Majella Church. It is a little bit outside of the center of Utrecht, where I am doing my practical training as a brother of St. John.
And what did just happen in this church today?
Yeah, today was a big moment for me, in fact. So I did my perpetual vows. That is to say that after 6 years being in the community, I gave my life to God until the hour of my death.
The three vows of poverty, chastity, and obedience. Okay.
Exactly, yeah.
So I was present at today's Mass and I was hearing the priest who was doing the homily, Brother Ignaz Maria, who pointed out a few key moments, I think, of your life, which was not a boring life. From what I know, you had quite an interesting journey because now you're not 20 years old and you did a lot of stuff. Would you like to point out just a few of these moments that seemed to you more important or more relevant in your seek of God on one hand, and on the other hand of your place in the world, I think, or your place as a human being?
Yeah, that's gonna be a long story, so I'll keep it short. But yes, I'm a little bit older, doing these perpetual vows. So normally I think you're a bit younger. But
How old are you, in fact?
I'm 54 at the moment. So normally you are a little bit younger if you are entering in religious life, I think. But yeah, this was my journey, my life. Yeah, so it was around the age of 30 when I had a little crisis in my life. And I wasn't a Christian, and I started to ask myself the question, what am I living for? What is the reason of my existence? Is there any truth? And if there is a God, who is God? What is the essence of his being? And yeah, I started this quest not directly in the church, but first of all in philosophy, and later also in Kabbalah and Sufism, and finally in Buddhism also. So I practiced for a while Zen Buddhism. Well, I made some journeys, yeah.
Yeah, you're something we call today like an open spirit or a universal spirit who you embraced multiple ways of seeking something more to life or seeking God ultimately.
Yeah, I thought it was important to just question all the existent religions, and to really be open in this quest for truth. Is it really in the Muslim belief, or is it really in the Buddhism belief? Where can I find the deepest truth?
And you didn't stop there after this phase of researching multiple religions. What did you do?
Yeah, exactly. It wasn't just in the research in the books and stuff. So I made some journeys to India, for example, twice. But I went overland from Turkey, from Istanbul, overland, visiting all the countries that are in between Turkey and India. And I had a good experience in a little monastery in Syria, where I stayed for about 1 month.
What's the name of the monastery?
It's called Mar Musa, al-Habashi. It is not far from Damascus, 70 kilometers north from Damascus. It still exists. Yeah, I was there 1 month. I lived for 2 weeks in a cave. I wasn't
all by yourself?
well, I slept there basically, and during the day I went to the monastery for food and to work and to meet people. Yeah, it was a very good experience. I wasn't a Christian at the time, but at that time, because it was in the middle of desert, I asked myself, how can you live in the middle of the desert? Because there's nothing.
Yeah.
But in fact, there was a lot of joy living there with the others in the small monastery.
Did you have something like a prayer routine at that moment, or
No.
meditation?
No, well, in the monastery every day we had 1 hour of silent prayer, but I didn't know what silent prayer was, so I sat there I didn't know what to do actually there for 1 hour, but I was very disciplined, so stayed for 1 hour.
It seems like my moments of prayer sometime, even in
Yeah.
front of Jesus. What can I do? What am I going to do?
Yeah.
Just sitting there and hoping to be with him.
Yeah.
And so you did like a itinerant journey towards Calcutta,
Yes.
stopping at Syria also. And finally you arrived at Calcutta,
Yeah.
no? You passed a while over there, or
Yeah, past 3 weeks
weeks.
at Mother Teresa, helping the poor. Yeah. It was actually the goal of my journey. I was very afraid of because she was helping the poorest of the poor. I was very afraid of the poorest of the poor. I didn't really have had the courage to engage, but yeah, finally after some days I got hard, and I went and volunteered and stayed for 3 weeks, and it was a very good experience. Yeah. Because in the end, I was asking myself, who is helping who? So am I helping the poor? But at the same time, I noticed that the poor, were also helping me. It's very mutual.
And between this moment and the time you started to be a Christian, Catholic, did you do something else, or afterwards you?
Well, this experience in this monastery in Syria taught me that Christianity is credible. I found it really courageous of this man being in the middle of the desert, having a life there, which was very open to everybody. It was very inviting, very peaceful. So I decided when I came back to Holland here in the Netherlands to go to Mass, and I just found a church that was good. And although I didn't know, I knew exactly what they were doing. I just went every Sunday, and I felt the same peace when I was in Mass. It was another quality that that I didn't find in any other place. Like, you can go to a bar with friends, and it can also be peaceful and good. But here in church during Mass, the peace was more profound. And also when you left Mass, I noticed that I changed. I was more at peace with myself, with the world, with the others. So there had to be something. And slowly I discovered a bit what Mass was all about. And I joined also a group, and an Alpha group. And there I met other people, which is also really important.
Alpha group, which is like a sort of a catechism group, or something like that, or?
It's actually pre-catechism, so it's for people who want to know more about the Christian faith. And so all the main topics of the Christian faith you go through in 10 weeks, 10 evenings. So you start eating together with other people, and then there's a little introduction to a different topic every week. You have one weekend that you go somewhere else. So there I got to know other people, other Christians.
Of course.
So every question that I had, I could lay down there,
Yeah.
And they would never turn me down. They were always inviting. I was very cynic at the time, very critical, and but they would always accept me the way I was. And I thought it was something from God, who accepts you the way you are.
Yeah. And so you started knowing the basics of the Catholic faith, or also meeting people who are very well-willing and who receive you. And then you knew the community possibly. You met the Saint John, the Brothers of Saint John, here in Netherlands? Or?
Yeah, so I was in another church when I discovered the Catholic faith, and after a while I wanted to know more about the Catholic faith. There wasn't a lot at that time in Utrecht, not a lot of courses or something. But here in this church, the Brothers of St. John offered courses in philosophy and in theology. And they had a really good program, and I decided to follow these courses. So I went for a while here, on a weekly basis, to get deep down into the theological aspects of the Catholic faith.
And step by step, then you decided to give this way of life a try? Or?
No, that went very progressively. So at the same time that I was discovering the Catholic faith, there was already this question at the back of my mind, like I told you, who is God? But also, if there is a God, what does God want me to do? So I was also thinking about maybe the priesthood or becoming a monk. And I never really thought about entering here in this community that I did today, because I didn't really see them as monks. I don't know. So I went to the seminary also, and I went to several monasteries here in Holland. But it was actually during one evening here when I took classes that one of the brothers said to me, look, we are also monks. We are living here in this house, which is our monastery. And then my eyes were opened and I thought, oh, yeah, these people here are also like monks, but they are in the city. They're not in the countryside, not in the desert, but in the city. And a little later, one of the brothers invited me for a vocation weekend where you can go and where if you have questions about vocation, you can ask them, and where some sisters and brothers are that can help you finding out your vocation. And it was a good experience to me.
You started your path with the community?
Yeah, that is about, I think, maybe 10, 12 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah.
And something like 6 years ago or 7 years ago, you started the postulancy, which is the first step
Yeah.
before looking towards the community, seeing how they live. Then you want to give it a try, but not as a brother, something living with them a little bit, praying with them. You did your postulancy in Austria, in Marech.
Marech.
Yes. And afterwards, you started the novitiate in France.
Yes.
Okay. And there lived for something like 4 years with different brothers from different nations.
Yes. With you.
With me also. We were something like 40 brothers coming from at least 10 different countries, from different continents. And then what's your second year since you're back in your home country?
Yes.
Looking backwards in time, in fact, that's the most interesting fact, because it seems like we cannot see the sense of our journey, the deep meaning of our journey when we are in it. But after we finish a little point, important point, we can look back and see, this is what all of this meant, or this is what many of what I lived guided me towards here. So with this kind of wisdom that you also acquired with your age, but especially with your interesting journey, what would be something like encouragement towards young people, men and women, who are really willing to do the will of God and are willing to seek it also? What can you tell?
Oh, yeah, that's a big question. I think the most important is to never give up, never despair about the fact that God has a plan for your life. It took me a long, long time. Like I said, I'm 54 now. So, there was also a time in my life that I was really almost desperate about where's my life going? Does it have a sense at all? If there is a God, what does He want me to do? Why doesn't He tell me right away? How can I find out His will? Yeah, why other people know already when they're 18 that they want to become a priest, and me, I have 40, 45 years and I still don't know what to do. Now when I look back, you can say you can see God's hand in my life, but there were many, many moments that I didn't see His hand in my life. So I'd say I would really say never to despair. And one of the ways to find out God's will is, I think, in spiritual discernment. So already maybe at a young age to find out what God tastes like. So what gives you really peace at heart? What gives really joy in your heart? What makes you more alive? And which stays also, and it's not for a moment, but for a long time You know, that you feel that here I am more myself than somewhere else. You know, these experiences mostly come from God. You know, because there's also another side. You know, experiences of sadness, irritation. That you feel not happy, feel down, yeah, that there's no growth in your life. Yeah, try to discover a feeling for these two spirits. You have the good spirit, which comes from God, the Holy Spirit. The other spirit doesn't come from God. It's called spiritual discernment, that we had a lot in our education. I think this is really important to find out where God leads you or wants to lead you. Don't listen to other people too much, because yeah, it's important to have a spiritual guide. I think somebody that you can really trust, that you can really open up to, because don't stay alone for too long. It's also a grace to find somebody that you can open up to, but it will really be helpful. You can do retreats, for example. But don't tell everybody, you know, that what's playing at the deepest of your heart, because many people have an opinion that they say very quickly. You should do this, you should do that, and we as human beings, if we don't know, sometimes we follow the advice of somebody else that we should have never followed. So be cautious also about that. But just stay in the hope. So God created you. God loves you. He wants you to be, and he also has that we call a plan. But it's not a plan like do this and afterwards do that and do that. Mm-hmm. But there's a place for you. Yeah, and it could be marriage, could be religious life, could be priesthood, could also be staying alone. Yeah.
Mm. Okay, thank you very much, Brother Richard Maria, for the insights in your life, and also for these very profound advices that you received, and you're passing also them to others who are in need of some advice, like coming from a friend, and from a friend that is in the journey, like is doing the journey. Even though you have your perpetual vows, you're still doing a journey. So it's one it's ascension that you made, and it will be another one possibly, and it's like this in life. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Merci.